In the bottom left here, the Terran in the blue from Korea. He is Bunny.
He's looking focused as ever. Some doubts about what his form would be like coming into this tournament, but so far looking fantastic. But likewise, looking unstoppable up to now. In the top right-hand side of World of Sleepers, the red Zerg player representing the Africa Freaks, he is soO.
Yeah, it's going through the bracket flawlessly here, which is a really good performance. Because soO's been a little bit shaky online, which is, I mean, to be fair, everyone's only really played online, so there hasn't really been an offline tournament just yet. But with these tournament runs, you know, in some of the big tournaments like the Kung Fu Cup, you know, Lima Leagues, that sort of thing. Yes, he's getting those maps. It's so hard to play Bio 1 against Zerg because they really just start to take over the map much, much quicker than the Terran does. So Mech, you do get that big one, sort of like a Phalanx attack, where you have a lot of power, a lot of splash damage, and you can just cut through the Zerg forces, and creep doesn't really matter as much. This is a bit of a different BC opener, though. Like, he's putting a lot of starport time and also gas, frankly, for Viking and Liberator first, and then delaying that BC a little bit. So it's not the quickest BC build here from Bunny,
yeah,
but the BC is always quite threatening.
I think that's just a diet kind of, hey, you've been thrown off the normal path by this Zergling aggression at the start.
Yeah, true.
And it's also kind of good because as soO, losing the Vikings rough.
That sucks.
But you're going to see Viking, you're going to see a Liberator in the near future. The last thing you're expecting after that is a battle cruiser. So if I was soO, I would not be building tons of queens. I would not be rushing Aspire to rush Corruptors out. So the battle cruisers could be a big surprise in this game, even though they are hitting the field very late.
Certainly, an extra gas has been taken there in the natural for Bunny. Almost certainly going to be a mech follow-up here. Doesn't start at Yamato or anything like that, which is one of the bigger tells. Liberator just parked right on the main base there. A YOLO Liberator from Bunny, and honestly, not really being punished. The Liberator lives, it gets a few kills, a little bit of lava damage there. Spire does go down for soO. So that's a pretty quick Spire from soO. Maybe he feels like BC's are next.
I mean, it's so common to play against BC mech here. And Roaches, of course, being an amazing start. Roach speed going to give you a lot of aggressive potential, as well as the ability to shut down Hellion backstabs. In the rare cases that you do face someone who's still using the Cyclone mech, something we don't see as much at those top levels these days, that gives you the maneuverability to deal with it. So you can squeeze out a surprising round of mutas, you can do a lot of things, but hold on, that's a big BC teleport in.
Right on top of 5 Queens, not usually a fight that the BC can win, especially considering they have transfusion energy. But those Hellions doing a little bit of drone damage there. They get rid of the Lings, but the drones keeping very safe here, keeping behind their mamas. Protecting their babies here as those drones go back to mining and back to work. This teleport timing from Bunny with the Hellions looked like it could have been very, very scary, but soO's handling it well.
The BC there skirting the edges, looking to clear up creep. It's going to put a scan on that. However, the Queens can immediately respread the creep if they so wish. Being very conservative with those Queens for now is...
And not to lose too much creep in general, as it does help him, especially with the quicker, lighter force of Bunny.
2-2 upgrades now starting up, and so many command centers on the way. Bunny is looking to eke out a long-term efficiency game. soO here, he's getting frustrated. He wants to land that bungle, connects with a few units.
Yeah, just goes up some fumbles here. I mean, soO is heading towards what looks to be Broodlords, which I'm a little bit worried about, honestly, even though he's doing a great job at keeping the Terran back.
Whoa.
Thors are a lot better than they used to be. soO's still attacking into this army. Where's Bunny's defensive
Where are the
force?
siege tanks?
Yeah, that too.
I think he has enough Cyclones. Okay, it's all right. There's one more fungal, but I don't think there's enough Zerg to capitalize. You know, when you chase down a Hellion Cyclone army the whole way across the map like that, it gives it a lot of room to punch at you from distance, and that's what this army excels at. Its ability to wear you down over time. You can see the scan there providing vision. The Cyclones lock on, and then they disengage and pull back. These are very expensive trades for soO. But Bunny, I would not mind him going back and repairing these units.
Yeah, they're very, very deep in the red here. One fungal would shut down a lot of this army. So he does pull it back to the other side of the brush there, to the siege tank support. Actually gets 2 command centers at a time here, one to the north and one to the south. And I mean, if he gets wind of this Great Aspire, if there's a scan on that Great Aspire, he's got so many tech lab factories, he can make a lot of Thors, and that really kind of negates Broodlords in total, because Broodlord Infestor just ain't what it used to be big.
Yeah, you know, Broodlord's hard countered by Thors, some would say at the moment. But remember, if those Thors are ever exposed and they just get jumped on at the start of the fight, they still fall very quickly. And as always, Zerg production is so volatile. It can so suddenly change paths. And right now, Bunny has no way of finding out about that Broodlord morph. So if there's no Thors even on the field, those Broodlords can have a big window to march across the map, take out a few expansions before that counter is ready.
These 3 Hellions showing up. I mean, they're 12 seconds away from having 2-2, which would have been nice, but he is still going to get some drones here. Bunny also setting up his siege tanks to try and protect that north base as he gets into the planetary. And he left one Hellbat down here with the exorbitant task of getting rid of a hatchery all by his lonesome. Doesn't work out for him. Surprise, surprise.
Bunny's got a big economy, but he's not ready for this
No,
Broodlord
he
swap,
doesn't have any
Maynard.
Thors at all. He's just been making battle mech.
Yeah, he's got a few tanks, tons of Cyclones. Vikings start up immediately, but that's a big problem. Those Broodlords completely uncontested. Tanks caught in the open. BC's going to go in for a backstab, but I think Bunny's going to have to give up at least a few bases. He needs to buy time. 2 Thors are queued up. 2 Vikings. He's going to need more than that, but he's maxed out right now. He's got no free supply.
Might have to throw away a few of these battle mech units. In fact, he's doing exactly that, sending out the Hellions and the Cyclones to try and pick off a hatchery here, which I think he will get. Continuing to take more damage down Ho. The Hellbat's actually mitigating some of these Broodlings. He is going to give up a base, as you mentioned, Pig. One goes down up to the north, the one to the south still alive. He could actually send the SCVs down there instead. 3 upgrades on the way. 5 Thors at a time here for Bunny. He just needs to hold on.
Those Hellbats doing
Wow.
fantastic damage. The Cyclones did take out that hatchery in the north. Bunny has a ton of bases. He lost, I think, 2 command centers there. One in front of that northern base, as well as the one on the top. So he's lost a little bit of economy, but when you're on 80 SCVs, you've got the southern base with a planetary going up. Your upgrades have not been touched. I think Bunny is playing a fantastic mech game. And now as the Thors join the field, he's ready for it. soO is adding more Broodlords. He's continuing to commit.
I'm actually slack-jawed, Fig. I cannot believe we're seeing more broods here from soO. I mean, he hasn't seen Thors being thrown in for Bunny, but he has to know that Bunny's been preparing for the next wave of broods here, or for even the initial wave that hasn't been killed just yet. He's going to try and pick off one of these Thors. The Hellbat's coming in to try and protect it, though, keeping those broodlings alive for as short as a long time as possible.
Yeah, there's not many Corruptors there, and the Vikings are going forwards, trying to shut down these Broodlords. As the Queens come forward, Bunny has got to disengage. He does not have his Thors really impactful in this engagement just yet. BC's coming in, he's going to go for it. That's a lot of Broodlords. The Thors now starting to land hits on those Broodlords. The Corruptors are gone, the Vikings doing big damage. The Queens start to finally push back those Vikings. The Transfusers land. A great fight there for soO. Bunny pushed back, and now guess what? The Ravagers are still there on the ground. They're a big threat for those Thors. Corrosive Bile, very good at taking out the anti-air of Terran.
Yeah, without that Hellbat wall, or even just a bunch of units DPSing down those Broodlings, the Thors can go down pretty quick. It looks like soO, even though his composition was questionable, might just have a little bit too much. He's breaking this backbone of Bunny here. The Vikings dancing around the Broodlords, but just taking too long to kill this many broods.
You know, those Broodlords still demand respect, even in this current form of balance, and soO is showing why. You know, you're expecting him to swap into something else. You're not expecting another 6 or 7 Broodlords to show up, and Bunny is going to pay the ultimate price by the looks of it. This fight turning things around a little bit more. I think this one is an overextension.
Yeah, it's an overextension for sure. He's losing a lot here. Obviously, soO's in a really, really good spot, but he doesn't really want to throw away too many more units, because that is how you lose a one game.
We want to see, I think, more Hellion backstabs, maybe a few Cyclone counters as well after this. I think here in this low economy scenario, it's very important for Bunny to keep the pressure on soO's economy. His bank has been worn out. He's realizing his work account's not that big. Even soO here is starting to add a few more workers, and the more you can slow that down, the better.
And he's going to do exactly as you wanted here, Pig. Hellions running through and getting a handful of drones. Not too many drones at this base anyway. There is a transfer on the way. Ling's trying to get around those Hellions. They get a nice surround there. One Hellbat with a bunch of... He has been maxed for a minute or so.
That's a few more Hellions than you want to throw away right now, Bunny.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
Big commitment, and soO well positioned, anticipated this. Only loses 2 drones. Those Hellions, thankfully, do survive for now. Might be able to go back in there and do some damage later.
Liberator's been thrown into the mix for Bunny. Feels like he's opening up to potentially Broodlords coming back again. If soO realizes that the Hellions get thinned out and that there's a lot of tanks, Broodlords make sense again. If you don't have too many Vikings to worry about, or too many Thors to worry about. And there it is, actually, another Broodlord being made from soO right now. Just the one, though. Maybe just to hold, to be the flag bearer for the Zerg army as he comes in for the next attack.
Yeah, that's Rando Calrissian, the Broodlord, right there. He's, it's almost like the accidental swarm moose that gets built in the game. It's like, does this do anything?
I haven't seen an accidental Broodlord before. That seems like it's hard to make a mistake there. But we do have this big attack from soO. The Banelings, the Roaches, the Ravagers rolling on in, and it looks like they're going to do a lot here all by themselves without that Broodlord. And even to the south side, it looks like soO also attacking into that command center. He's making broods right in front of the base, a little bit too close to that turret. Gets his money back guaranteed, but he is going to try and get more broods up by the looks of things. That seems to be his plan. In the meantime, opening up this base to Bunny for some counter damage. And Bunny is desperate to do any damage here to soO, who is in a very nice spot.
Bunny's a fan of the Rocky movies, apparently. The man knows how to take a punch. He just keeps expanding down the other side of the map. Every time soO comes in and eliminates a base, we see another base or two spring up on the other side of the map. Bunny, of course, going very deep with this push now. Broodlord's being morphed. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like you look at this army, even Massling could take it out. There's not a lot of Hellbats. It's very unsupported. I do think Burrow, Neural, and Infestors would be great, but he forgot the Burrow. He got a whole little pack of Infestors,
man,
and Neural just starts the Burrow now.
That is awkward, getting Neural before Burrow. A lot of links being made from soO, so it is a great addition, as Pigs mentioned here. This push from the Terran to the north and south is doing crazy damage. soO was on 80-odd drones, down to 66 at the moment.
They're running out of anywhere to mine as well. He's going to lose both of those bases.
This is getting weird, man. It looked all soO at the moment. The Thors are leaving these tanks exposed. The Broodlords are in the middle of the map here. soO trying to get on top of that command center as it gets closer and closer to landing. Doesn't look like Bunny's going to be able to land that one for a while.
There's fighting going on all over the map. These Thors and tanks going to try and extricate themselves. Those Thors up there have found a party of drones. The Broodlords will slowly deal with that. These Thors and tanks going to re-secure this top left-hand side. Bunny desperately needs to get those bases back up and mining. So, I mean, as it stabilizes here, soO trying to get value out of these units. He's really just putting up as much of a fight as he can on this side of the map. And this is such a good job of delaying Bunny establishing those bases. soO, most importantly, has the central low ground base, but he's a bit slow to put his workers back to mining. Right now, the income is next to nothing for both players.
That's very, very low for 20 minutes into the game. There's just been so much damage. A very, very action-packed game here. A lot of energy on those Infestors, and they do have Burrow now, so Neural is definitely a threat to Bunny. If he can grab a couple of those tanks or some of the Thors or something like that. The Infestors to the south going to try and become the hit squad. Spellcasters here for soO. He is under pressure from that Terran force. The Broodlords not high enough in count actually to engage this army anymore. No Corruptors to assist, so the Vikings can just chase them down.
Oh, those Broodlords, not a great choice. The Corruptors coming out might save them, though. We see some Ravager Biles on the Liberator. The Roaches and Ravagers just want to get rid of those Thors. And the quadruple Neural on the left-hand side.
The Judas tanks here doing so much damage to Bunny's army from the backline. Bunny potentially didn't realize it or didn't care, but unfortunately they just deleted that front line for the Terran, and now the Corruptors are here. The Vikings getting pushed back. Bunny getting pushed back. He really doesn't have any chance of getting a big army up again.
Oh, and it's an orbital. It's an orbital. Is the top left an orbital or a planetary? I'm not sure, but if that goes
to
down...
nothing.
Oh, no. If those Lings find that base, and I'm sure they will, he's in big trouble. Landed Vikings and Hellions. Not the late game army you want as a Terran player. That is Infestors, so many Ravagers and Banelings, and you're looking at double the army supply. It's going to be very hard to deal with.
soO's going to take all these tanks for himself again. Another 4 tanks for soO. Doesn't mind if he does. And he's going to turn them and fight against the Terran army and then pick them off before they get their brains back. soO is over here and deleting what remains of Bunny from the map.
Beautiful play here by soO. Bunny making him work for it, but the Brood Lord tech switch and then following it up with yet another wave of Broodlords was the key thing here that gave soO the momentum he needed. Bunny, I think, was considering pretty much every other option. No doubt was thinking about Nidus Worms, was thinking about Ultras, Banelings crashing in from multiple angles, but Bunny was just not prepared for those Broodlords earlier in this game, and now fighting from an economic deficit. This army, you just cannot handle that much Zerg.
Economic deficit, army deficit, everything deficit. soO on his front door with a lot of Infestors. I mean, he's making a Battle Mech army and Infestors specifically actually kill that. GG!
So good with these engagements. He's covering the map in expansions, and soO had the answer. I feel like that's soO's magical quality. Until he gets stopped, he just looks like an absolute monster.
Hey, you're not wrong. It's just so amazing when a player can look so on and then so off sometimes. And this is the right time to pull your socks up and actually play your best StarCraft, that's for damn sure.
I mean, he's a player who has his very specific strengths, right? It's that ability to master big mid-game engagements, his ability to power through the early game so hard that he often does get a lead for himself. I feel like every player that plays against soO, they feel pressure to try and slow him down in some way, because his macro is just so on point. Like, his ability just mechanically to hit everything the way it needs to be done. It's a scary prospect if you don't harass him down and damage and slow him down a little bit in the early game.
Speaking of the early game, this one's going a lot less stressful for Bunny as soO just went hatch gas pull. So not that, early was it like 8 lings or so, early speedling attack, the 13-12 to try and slow down the Terran's expansion. So this is a lot more standard of an opening, so whatever Bunny had in plan, at least for the early game, is not going to be upset.
Wonder if we'll see bio on this map as well. I mean, definitely not a bad map for mech because you get a little bit spread out covering your bases. It can get a little bit hard, but...
We'll shut this down. The real question is how much damage is Bunny going to take before that unit gets out?
Yeah, that BC's a long way away, his Maynard, about 40 seconds. The Liberator here, is it going to get biled? It does. Nice aim by soO.
Yeah, he does pile it down. And Bunny getting a bit of splash damage there on that ramp. He has created that wall in. He gets a pretty good few shots on the Lings and the Ravagers, but soO still is so much at the front door of the Terran. Those Lings want to come on in now that the floodgates are open. The Ravagers getting pulled to the front. In come the boys, trying to drill through the Zerg army. Bunny losing a lot here. Oh, God.
Oh, man, those SCVs sacrificing themselves. I think is he going to hold on? He's got to get those Hellions. There's only 3 Hellions left. One pops out in the meat grinder there, goes down immediately. 13 SCVs fall, and I mean, this BC's got a lot of work to do right now. Bunny knows that BC needs to go and punch soO in the face. It needs to do big damage to make up for this.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely needs to get a lot done with this BC. soO with 4 queens at home, though, and that Spore Crawler also putting a lot of DPS in. He is going to pick off 1 queen here, but the BC isn't going to be able to do that critical damage that he really wanted. The sisters doing it for themselves, transfusing each other and pushing back the BC of Bunny. That counterattack left a little wanting for the Terran.
Yeah, that BC, I mean, this is part of the advantage of reacting the way Bunny did, is your battle cruiser is going to get across the map pretty quickly, right? You've got the hard-hitting counterattack. But he just took too much damage. No bunker on the high ground. Of course, he didn't really have any bio units, but even just 2 Marines in a bunker on the high ground.
Oh, natural wide open as well. Not that many Hellions. Lots of Lings from soO, and he's back again. Time for phase 2 of the plan here. The champ getting on top of those SCVs. I mean, the Hellions with the landed Viking will block these Lings off and mitigate the damage, but once again, soO just finding a relatively cheap, inexpensive way of doing damage to the Terran that Bunny can really not afford.
Yeah, I think Bunny might have thought this was more of a fake out from soO initially. Definitely overestimated his ability to hold on there. And now he's trying to go into that same BC kind of mech flavor, but is not really there yet. And 40 SCVs to 73 drones. That creep spread now getting started in a big way. soO's 4th base coming as well.
Now,
BC's looking for round 2.
No Spire just yet for soO, so there is an opportunity here for these BCs together with Yamato to actually take a favorable engagement against the Queens. They do have a lot of energy. They can only really one-shot the Queens there with the Yamatos. Standing and fighting the Queens, not a good idea. He does get muscled back for now, and there's soO. He's like, okay, just in buy time for the Spire. I'm going to spend another 450 minerals here, get a bunch of Queens out.
Yeah, those Queens, that's the transfusers, right? Those orange hit point Queens, they look tempting. They're really not that accessible right now. Those Hellions on the north going to try to swing into the mineral line. He knows he's got to do some damage to start evening this game out, but the drone's so quick on the evac.
Yeah, they're definitely on the evac. They lined up a little bit there. The Hellions getting some roach shots to the face. The Queen's coming in as well. The drones splitting themselves here, so they take less damage from the Hellions. 7 go down so far. Not bad at all for Bunny to get 7 drones, but this is expensive for Bunny. Normally at this point in the game, if he hadn't taken critical damage, it would have been completely fine to throw away Hellions for a bunch of drone kills. But right now, Bunny is still playing catch-up. Even though he had 3 CCs making workers and dropping mules, he's still down almost 20 workers. In fact, exactly 20 workers right now.
Now, Terran fans, I don't want to ruin your hopes and dreams. You might be thinking, oh, well, he's doing some damage here, but I am going to ruin them anyway. There's 12 corruptors out, BCs are going down, and there's no anti-air at home. Even with the turrets going up, those corruptors are probably going to be able to find the last BCs and focus them down, and they're definitely going to have the opportunity of doing some great caustic spray harass in the next minute or 2. This is such a hard situation because as Bunny's scrambling just to keep your BCs alive, just to defend the corruptor harass, you're about to deal with Roach Ravager behind it. And knowing soO, he senses there's an opening here. A very good chance that he starts to dive in with the Ravagers. He saw those tanks were clumped up. He knows where they are. I'm pretty sure soO is just going to jump forward, bile the front tanks, and try to take out this 3rd base.
The BC is the only real thing that shoots up here apart from the turret, so they're going to start caustic spraying down in production. The Ravagers on that front doorstep, only 1 tank holding that line. The Corruptors getting right on those BCs as well. Bunny GG's, and the champ with a flawless run into the group stage. What a great bracket run for soO.